Alright guys, so for the third time I'm remaking the non-comic Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Basically, what if Apocalypse from X-Men it got together four horsemen outside of comic books, and that's kind of what these non-comic lineups are kind of like, where I make basic teams out of superhero teams and put together a team of non-comic characters and put them together and have it be like that was the team. It started with Suicide Squad, and I've done other teams, but for some reason, the Four Horsemen, it's like, yeah, it's a simple team, and there's so many potential characters, both good and evil, who could be on this, because Apocalypse doesn't care as long as he gets his Horsemen. And I figured, yeah, there's been multiple incarnations of the Four Horsemen. Hell, right now it's what, Moon Knight, Deadpool, and two other characters I completely forgot about in Apocalypse War. But still, if Apocalypse can make multiple incarnations of his Four Horsemen, then yeah, I can make multiple incarnations of the non-comic lineup. So yeah, as always, I'm always excited to hear your versions of of Apocalypse's Four Horsemen. So yeah, starting off is of course Azrael Dreamer from Undertale, and this time I actually have to credit this artist is Walking Lemon MMD, I believe the artist's name is. Just beautiful artwork right here. I wish I had a link to his or her. I don't know the artist's gender, unfortunately. So I wish I had a link to their art page, because this is just absolutely beautiful. But yeah, again, I wanted to at least say the credit going to that person. Anyway, so. Yeah, with Azrael is pretty much Azrael just seems like a simple pick for Death, because obviously in one incarnation in the timelines he can become the Angel of Death. He's a downright powerhouse, and I think Apocalypse would see that and definitely want to have Azrael, who is obsessed with resetting everything and just watching the whole world burn, just be like, yeah, you're going to be working for me now. You're my new Death. So definitely, absolutely, Azrael Dreamer would be the perfect pick for the Horsemen of Death in Apocalypse's new Four Horsemen. So yeah, I think I don't need to really say much other than he's kind of perfect for that role, more or less. Anyway, moving on. So for War this time around, it's Goldar from Power Rangers. Reason being is because Goldar is obviously the general and commanding officer of both Rita and Zed's forces, and yeah, he's a powerhouse in most cases, especially in the Boom Studio comics. He's treated like a monster in there. So I think Apocalypse would see. I think he would see Goldar as a perfect warrior for war. And he would. I can't even imagine, let alone with Azrael, I can't even imagine what Goldar, as converted by Apocalypse's technology and made stronger from it. I have no idea what that would be like. For the most part, I can't even begin to imagine how powerful Goldar would be under Apocalypse's control. But yeah, with Goldar, obviously incredibly strong, a swordsman, obviously he's capable of flight. He would make I think he would be the perfect candidate for war. But yeah, I think his loyalty to Zed would be a problem. But then again, Apocalypse can easily just wipe his memory and just be like, you only serve me now. Got it? That's the only Lord of Destruction you serve, and that's me. So yeah, Goldar for War. So next up, for the role of Famine, is Guts from Berserk. Yeah, Guts from Berserk as Famine. Now, Apocalypse isn't too keen on humans, but however, I think he would see a lot of potential in Guts for just being a mere human, because he embodies everything Apocalypse, En Sabanur believes in. The strongest shall survive, and trust me, Guts is pretty strong. Obviously, yeah, Guts would be a little more difficult to control, because he's usually one of the good guys, and obviously Apocalypse doesn't have the best track record of keeping control of any superheroes he manages to convert into Horsemen. So, yeah, but I think, again, even though despite Guts being a human, I think Apocalypse would look at Guts and go, yeah, I could see, he would make it, despite being a human, his massive his great swordsmanship, as well as his just brute strength would appeal to Apocalypse, and again, he would be the kind of like an embodiment of everything. Like I said earlier, everything Apocalypse wants. The strongest shall survive, and trust me, Guts Guts is pretty goddamn strong. So I could clearly see him kind of bending that rule of like, I don't want to, I want to kill all humans, but you stay. I'm making you one of my horsemen. So yeah, and if you thought Guts was incredibly, ridiculously strong and durable as all hell in in the manga, could you imagine what he'd be like if Apocalypse upgraded him? I shudder to think what he would be like with that kind of power, let alone how his sword Dragon Slayer would be upgraded as well. That would be that would just be totally fucking insane. I just can't even imagine that. Anyway. And finally, for the role of Pestilence is Naraku from Inuyasha. Again, this time around I've kind of noticed, these four guys would be a lot harder to control than the previous two incarnations. Yeah, that would probably be the case where, the other two versions of the team were would be easier to control. I kind of imagine having Naraku, Guts, Azrael, and Goldar. They would be collectively a lot harder to maintain and control under his will, especially as Azrael and Naraku. But Naraku is obviously a human who was turned into a demon after hosting his body to a whole legion of demons. And I could see Apocalypse again kind of bending that rule, because even Naraku isn't really human anymore. His former self of Omigumo is no longer around, so I could see him finding potential in Naraku and more or less having him on his side. And again, it just kind of makes sense. It kind of makes a lot of sense for Naraku to be Pestilence, really. He's literally a walking swarm of demons. So him having the role of Pestilence just kind of seems it makes a lot of sense. Basically, it does quintessentially make a lot of sense for him to be Pestilence. But all in all, this is probably also one of the most terrifying incarnations of the non-comic Four Horsemen I've created. But it's also one of the ones that would probably most likely rebel out of the three the most against Apocalypse, more or less. So But all in all, hope you all enjoyed this team. And as always, what four non-comic characters, ranging from video games to anime to cartoons, stuff like that, everything outside of comics, what four characters could you see being made into Horsemen of Apocalypse? Being recreated by Apocalypse into his Horsemen? Just comment below, let me know, and once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.